Welcome to our show, Tapping into Your Heart. And this is where you can learn more about how to navigate through pet loss grief during the holiday season. And my name is Berns Galang. I'm your host for this show. I'm actually an artist, an illustrator, and I'm passionate about drawing animals. And I'm also taking care of seven cats right now. And I actually just felt the calling to put together this event. And I saw the need to have this dream this time of the year, and I know it could be potentially extra hard to go through for pet grievers. And I'm also coping with my own pet loss grief alongside you, and I'd like to help in any way I can. So today, we're going to talk about the subject by giving it a little bit of a different perspective from the companion animal's point of view. And so joining us today is Pam Roussell. Pam is a holistic health coach for cats and the founder and owner of Purrrfectly Holistic. Her mission is to educate and help cat parents provide the very best in holistic health for their cats. She took a number of courses in holistic health for animals, muscle testing, animal communication, Reiki, and mind body spirit release. Very interesting profession, actually. And she is a full-time servant to two kitties, Gunner and Aelin. And yeah, they really are the masters, I must say. I consider myself as a happy servant too. Um, all right.
Yes.
Let's welcome our guest, Pam Roussell. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Berns. Thank you so much for inviting me back.
Great to have you here again. So, can you share with us your journey and how you became a holistic health coach for cats?
My journey began probably, I think it was around 2006 when I had a foot injury that wouldn't heal with conventional medicine. And I had an epiphany one day after months and months and months of trying regular, traditional medical care to go look for a Chinese doctor and explore Chinese medicine because something inside of me just kind of had a realization like if this stuff didn't work, they wouldn't be using it still for thousands of years. So, and we know it's been around for a very long time. And so I went to, I sought out a Chinese doctor back in my town of Houston at the time. And she did acupuncture and herbal medicine on me and healed my foot within 8 weeks
Mhm.
and then told me not to come back. So I was shocked, number one, that it worked. I was ecstatic because I didn't want to have surgery. And
Mhm.
so that just opened a whole can of worms. And so then I started diving into nutrition and herbs and looking at some homeopathy and going to a naturopath clinic for myself a little bit. But I started to go there for my cats because veterinarians weren't helping my cats with some of their more chronic issues that were coming up. And so I had just been told through a friend of mine that was going there that she saw somebody taking her cat. I'm like, really? And I just kind of filed it away. It's like, if I ever need that. And I did. And I got amazing results. And they did muscle testing and they did biofeedback and they used herbal medicine and homeopathy and things like that. I'm like, wow, okay, this works and it works for pets, it works for people. I need to learn more. And so it put me on a journey of discovery. And so I just kept learning and learning. I was practicing. I learned how to do muscle testing and I kept practicing and practicing and applying what I was learning from really famous and well sought out integrative and holistic veterinarians around the world to see what they did in certain cases. And I would read their articles and their blogs. And then I started to apply what I've learned to my own cats and other people's cats that would, need some help or whatever. And then when one of my cats suddenly died after a week after getting a rabies vaccine that he needed for boarding purposes, it just kind of woke me up to launch me into looking at starting my own business and starting to share with other pet parents or cat parents specifically the things that I've learned on my journey and what not to do, because I used to do everything wrong, I assure you. So I've just learned how to do things better. And so now I apply all of my coaching and teaching that I have learned towards helping other people get their pets healthy, which is so rewarding.
Wonderful. And that's a good transition because I want to ask you what's the inspiration behind your business, Perfectly Holistic.
Yeah, it was basically Snowbear. Snowbear's passing is what launched me into learning animal communication and starting my business and figuring out what pet parent where the gaps are, because there's a lot of information out there, but how do we narrow that down for what's good for my cat? And that's where muscle testing comes into play because it is so accurate, and it all really depends on how well you make the statements or ask the questions and fine tune your questions and the detective work that goes into muscle testing for specific things. So it can be such a time saver and a lifesaver in many cases.
Mhm. Sounds like that's a huge pivot because we've had conversations before that you were in the fitness industry before you started your business, and that's a complete shift. And
Shift.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
happy that you
And
found
I'm
your
having
purpose.
so much fun.
Oh yeah.
The pet world is so fun. Now the fitness world was great for a time, but then when your passion changes and you find your purpose, it totally shifts everything. So it's been a fun journey. It's been hard, but it's been a
It's
fun journey.
yeah, it's usually like that when something heartbreaking or devastating happens. Something
Hmm.
really beautiful is um underneath that, and yeah, I'm glad that you found your passion, and yeah, you're helping a lot of cat parents all over the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, and since you've had your own pet loss grief to navigate through, how did you get started with your own journey to go through your healing process?
Snowbear's journey or Snowbear's passing really is what led me on the exploration, if you will, of, and I didn't know it at the time, but when he died, I felt a lot of guilt for the decision of vaccinating him so that we could go out of town and board him somewhere. And, there was a little voice in the back of my head the whole time that said, oh, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. And so I carried a lot of guilt with that. And I mean, I grieved for a very long time. And it was sometime, it was in a few weeks after he passed that I had been reading, or I saw a video about animal communication with this lady who was working with um, either panthers or some kind of wild cats in a sanctuary. I think it was in South Africa, and how she was pivotal in making their transition to this new sanctuary a success because the cat that had come in was very aggressive and just fought the caretaker, the caretakers that were, trying to feed him and all this kind of stuff, and very obviously very threatened, very scared animal. And the conversation that she was able to have with him changed the demeanor of the animal. And now, I mean, it was like instantly. All of a sudden, it was no longer aggressive to the people that were taking care of it because it understood what was going on. And I thought, holy cow, that's amazing. I want to learn how to do that. And so I started exploring, okay, where do I learn how to do animal communication? And I found a great resource. These ladies are amazing. It's called the Lightfoot Way. And you can find them online, lightfootway.com. And they teach online animal communication courses. And I did a full 8-hour day. It was like a teleseminar from your home. And they taught me how to use your telepathic abilities to tap in and communicate with animals. And I learned about spirit guides, and I learned about animal totems, and I learned about connecting with cats and spirit versus, as well as, not versus, but as well as animals in body still. And didn't really even know that some of that existed until I took that course. And then a couple months later, I took another course, like a more advanced class with them, just to get a little deeper understanding and abilities and stuff. And it was amazing. But that was the first part of my healing process from losing Snowbear, because in one of the classes, we were teamed up with other people who were taking the course, and we had have that person talk to one of our pets, and she talked to Snowbear, and she wrote out this beautiful communication with him that was basically telling me it wasn't your fault. There was a higher purpose to my passing, and look what you're doing. I'm putting you on your journey, on your path. This is what you're destined to be doing. And if I hadn't passed, then we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be fulfilling your purpose on this world or in this world. And so it was, I mean, I have to tell you, I cried all day long throughout this whole 8-hour seminar. I was a sobbing mess. But it was a part of the healing process. So it was very rewarding to know that I can still connect with him, and to find out that throughout that horrible tragedy that I have a relationship with him that continues today. He comes and visits me quite frequently, along with several other of my cats that have transitioned. So they're still watching over. They are still connecting with me. They're here to guide me. They talk a lot about spiritual things, I'll have to say. They're trying to help me be a better person, a better intuitive. They're trying to teach me how to connect inside with spirit, and just tap into that ability and take it to, other levels, higher levels, so that I can be of more service, of more benefit to not just other clients and other people, but to my own journey, my own development, my own soul journey, if you will. So it's fascinating.
Indeed, yes, and that is a very beautiful story. I was almost
That
crying.
was a long answer.
Yeah, and yeah, they really are so amazing, right? And you become a different person when you have them, and you become even more different when they pass. And yeah, and I've seen that you've continued to evolve. Your expertise now involve Reiki and muscle testing and animal communication as well. And all these involve an intuitive approach. And I'd like to ask you, from your perspective, how do you or how can you view death as to how our pets view it or see it?
What I have learned from clients, from my own pets who have passed, from conversations that either I've had or I've had another communicator talk with them, and things that they've shared for me, is that they don't view death the same way that humans do. They view it as just a change of form. It's a transition. So many people it's probably more in the Western world, less probably in the Eastern world, because they tend to be so much more in tune with the spiritual philosophies, if you will. But in the Western world, people seem to view death, and I used to do it too, so there's no judgment here. But we tend to view it as an ending, and there's just a lot of sadness and mourning. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, but when you view it from the way the animals view it, from an energetic perspective, we're all energetic beings, and we're just in an earth suit. This is just an outer layer of clothing, if you will, that our spirit is wearing so that we can have a physical experience here. And when pets transition, their energy doesn't die. It just changes forms. So they go back to being this beautiful, energetic being again without their earth suit, because our earth suits wear out. Organs get, they fail. We get old. Things just don't last forever. They're not meant to. So when animals transition, they're moving on into a different form, but they're still here. And we get so caught up with the visual that we forget to feel and we forget what it's like to see without using our eyes. And that's what intuition really teaches you. It's seeing things without relying on your vision, because that's where the magic is. It's the things we don't see around us that is so magical. I always think it would be so cool to have those kind of glasses. If you just put them on and you could see all the spirit world around you, it would probably freak us out a little bit, but I think it would be fascinating for us to see what we're not seeing with our eyes. um, they have jobs on the other side. They have soul contracts with us, and their connection with us may have ended for our lifetime, but they still have a job to do on the other side. And it doesn't mean that they have forgotten about us, that they hold any grudges, because they don't. All they are there is about love. That's all they are about. They care about us, and that doesn't stop just because they're in another form. They are here if we ever need to talk. I mean, you can talk just like we're talking now, as if they're standing right there or sitting right there. They can hear you, and if we tune in, we can hear them. They can answer us. We just have to be trained in how to do all that. There was something else I was going to share. They just want us to know that they love us, that they appreciated the life we gave them, whether that was a short period of time, whether it was a whole lifetime for them, that they were in our lives for a reason. And a lot of times we miss the lessons, but they're here to teach us something. And sometimes we've gone through our lives, I know I did, for many years, not waking up to the fact that, hey, there's this amazing, beautiful cat in my life. Instead of just looking at it as a cat, like, oh my gosh, there's a being here. What can I learn from him? Or what can I learn from her? And I missed a lot of those first lessons with my first cats that I had, because wasn't awake to all that. So when I started waking up to all these amazing things, I look back now and go, man, wonder what kind of lessons I could have learned from that experience, And some of those experiences, some cats, it took me like 3 times to figure out that kidney disease was because of the diet that they were eating. Things like that. You think I would have got it the first time, but no, it took me 3 cats to figure that out. So, like I said, I did it all wrong, but I figured things out. And those are the kind of lessons, that we can learn about ourselves, about caring for them. They can put us on journeys about our own spiritual path and our spiritual development if we're open to learning those things and seeking those things out. That's what they're here for, and what I've also learned is that in many cases, we have spent several previous lives together with our pets. So this may not be the first go round. But we forget when we come back into this body that we've been together before, that we've done this before, And so some of us have such a strong soul connection, and everybody seems to have that one soul pet. It's like, this is my soul cat, this is my soul dog. Yeah. And you just feel it deep in your heart. There's this deep love and understanding. You just get each other. Those are the pets that you keep journeying with over and over again. And again, we're on a journey. We're here in this lifetime to learn whatever lessons we're here to learn, and they're here to be on that journey with us. And in many cases, to teach us to be present in our lives in order for us to learn something. And sometimes that has to do with something that happens to them. Sometimes it has to do with things that happen to us, and they're here to support us through those times. So it's fascinating. But that relationship never goes away. It's always present. It just changes forms.
Fascinating. Yeah. And I'm just in awe hearing that from you, because I can relate to that, because I'm not a spiritual, I don't consider myself spiritual or even intuitive, but I also started to open my mind to things like this and change my perspective. And it's not the usual thing that most people are accustomed to. And I myself have Yeah, this is actually new for me because when I started a pet summit early this year, I've also encountered intuitives, and they even said that my cat who passed on about a year ago, he's the one who's behind this, and he's helping me
Mm,
step out of my comfort zone. And I think that's where I get the strength to take on such a huge initiative. Well, it is huge for me because I've never done anything like this, and towards the end of this year, I felt the calling again to do another one, a smaller one, but for this specific purpose. And I can also feel that, yeah, my cat, one of my cats is beyond behind it, and yeah. So I totally agree with the connection, and it doesn't end there. I mean, even if they're not in the physical form anymore, in spirit
mm,
form, they are still guiding us. So I totally
yes.
agree.
And I tell people a lot of times when they lose a pet, sometimes that pet will send them signs
Oh
after
yeah.
they've passed that they're still around. And so things to look for would be like butterflies,
Mhm.
dragonflies, um, even like sometimes a feather might fall from the sky when you're least expecting it, or something will appear out of nowhere, like all of a sudden one of their cat toys is in the middle of the room, or a place that you've walked by for weeks or months and there was nothing there, and all of a sudden there's something there and you're like, where did that come from? It's they are trying to communicate with us and say, hello, I'm here, you don't have to be sad, I am still here. Sometimes we can even see like their impressions in the bed, or like where they would have, as if there's something laying there, or like little step, little indents where they would have walked or whatever. Um, Sometimes at night, I can actually sense like one of them walking on the bed or sitting next to me. I can't see it with my eyes, but it's like I can feel
Wow.
that happening. It's bizarre. And I always double check, and I'm looking around like that's not Gunnar or Aylin, right? And it's not. So I just want to make sure. Um, but it's fascinating. They do want to stay connected, and I think they pop in because they have a message.
Yeah.
At least they do in my cases, because when they decide to come visit, my other two cats here get really freaked out because they sense and they see this energy before we do. And so when my cats get, especially Gunner, he's real sensitive and he's anxious. And so he will just start wailing and crying and go from room to room. And it's like he's trying to say, Mom, they're back. It's here. And he's trying to get my attention. And I'm like, just be quiet. I'll talk to him later, and I have to even say stuff like, Snowbear, don't bother the cats, I mean, I have to, sometimes you just got to say it because they'll drive him crazy. And so I have started to journal, and I will just sit at night and just kind of sit and quiet my mind. And I started channeling with, I have a pen and a note and like a journal book, and I'll just sit and I'll get really quiet and I'll just focus on my breath and close my eyes and just put them in my mind
Mhm.
and just connect my heart and just ask them, okay, what is it that you want to tell me? And I just start, whatever comes to mind, I just start writing.
Mhm.
And it's an amazing practice if anyone wants to start doing this, because the things that they are sharing and that I am writing through my hand come out are not things that I would normally talk about, and not necessarily what I would say, how I would say things
Mhm.
necessarily, but it tends to always be about a spiritual growth, spiritual development for me, and how to help me, how to grow my intuition, um, develop a more spiritual connection to spirit. It
Mhm.
just working on that into it, that inside work,
Yeah,
it's fascinating. It's
it
really interesting what they share.
it is. And I know it takes a certain degree of openness to it because, of course,
Yeah,
in the first place, if you're not open, I doubt that you're gonna see or hear or feel the signs. Although sometimes
right.
it's really so loud, it's really so obvious that they really catch your attention. There was one time when I was doing this pet memorial service, and it was online, and I saw a butterfly came into my room. It's a white butterfly, and it was so unlikely that a butterfly would enter my room at the time because it was a rainy day. But it was there. It was right in my window, and I just released it afterwards. And then, but it was there. It's a white butterfly, and we were doing a pet memorial for my cat back then. And then I also got some sort of a download. There was one time when I woke up in the wee hours of the night, and I just had this idea for a drawing. Although the first thing that came were the words, and then I just started to write it down, and I saw the image that I was supposed to draw. It wasn't something that I conjured, actually. I didn't imagine it deliberately, but I saw it in my mind's eye. It was like it's like in the middle of what's real and what's a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just started drawing it, and then I wrote the words, and then yeah. I actually have a drawing here. I can share it with you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think I did this about a few months back and shared it with other people too. And it's actually a digital art, but I printed this out. This one, that's the
Oh,
image.
that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yes, this one.
That's beautiful.
And the
Mm-hmm.
words came in first, and then yeah. I think someone agrees. Yeah, it's a bit noisy today. He's my senior cat. So he's the one making.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, which also makes me think, because I also associate colors with my cats, and I can see that you have a purple as your brand color, and I can almost see behind you there's a purple.
Purple tree.
Yeah, it's like a perfectly holistic Christmas tree right there.
I love it. I know. Purple is the sign of the crown chakra.
Okay.
And it also, I love the color amethyst.
Oh,
So, to me, those are all about intuition, and their amethyst is a master healer. Um, so yeah, that purple crown chakra connects us to, universe, to source. That's where we get those
mhm.
downloads, and yeah, those intuitive abilities. So I've always loved purple ever since I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
had my parents paint my room purple when I was a kid.
yeah. It's really
I had no
artistic.
idea what journey I would be on by now, but when I look back and go, wow, I didn't know that that I would be doing what I'm doing, and that
Mhm,
I would be so drawn to purple. And now I understand more of the color, the meaning behind those things now that make a lot of sense.
mhm. All right, wonderful. And then we talked a lot about spiritual things that could actually speed up. I think it could speed up the healing process because these are strong messages, very profound, and can be powerful. And real quickly, what specific ways can you share to help pet guardians move through pet loss grief, especially during the holidays?
Yeah, you know what? One of the things that I would do that does help healing is just maybe put together a tribute or memorial for them, you
Mhm,
know, that you with your favorite pictures, um, your favorite candle, maybe light a candle specifically for them, and just tell them how much you love them, and thank them for being in your life, and to ask them to continue to be in your life and share with you what they want you to know, if you want that kind of connection, because if you're inviting them, I guarantee you they will come. But you, you have to have that level of relationship that they can have for you. I also suggest that anybody who's lost a pet, put some money aside for an animal communication session with them, and
mhm,
then find a really great animal communicator to do a session with your pet and spirit, because you can ask them questions about their life with you. You can, if you are like me feeling tons of guilt, you can ask them, what happened? Did I and just say, so I'm so sorry that I did whatever. You need to get that off of your chest and then let them have a reply, because I promise you they are not holding a grudge. They are not keeping score. They are not angry with you, but the love and the message that you get back from them will warm your heart and just help you release any guilt you might feel. It will help you feel a stronger connection to them without the sadness. And it is something special that you will cherish the rest of your life. So that is one of the best things that I can say to people who've lost a pet. And if you're having trouble getting over the grief, that's one of the first things I would do. But then there's things like flower essences. There are specific flower essences that you can use to help boost your mood and let go of grief. I think gorse is one that comes to mind. And then there's a homeopathy called Ignatia that you can use for grief that will help release some of those grieving emotions that were just, stuck on us. And I think sometimes it's good to just journal how we're feeling, because if we hold it in, it can be like a weight, and hold us down. But if we can just get that emotion out so that we can release it and maybe do a little ceremony, so that we can send them with a blessing. It's really for us. It's for us to be able to let go and to be okay, and just understand that your relationship is not over, it's changed.
Wonderful. And I'd like to implement that myself because it sounds like such a huge relief. And I've heard that from other animal communicators as well, that they've never heard, not even once, that a pet who has crossed over has, you know, grudges or anything like that. Because a lot of pet grievers really suffer from guilt and regret, and I do too.
Yep.
So yeah, hearing that from their perspective really is profound and powerful.
Mm-hmm. And also, if they were like your soul pet,
Oh yeah.
you can ask them in those sessions, are you coming back to me? And approximately when will you be coming back, and what form will you be coming back, and how will I recognize you when you come back? Those are kind of cool questions that you can ask them as well. Sometimes pets have a job to go do. They have to do something else for a while. So they may say, well, it's going to be a little while. It may be a few years before I can come back, but I will be back. And it's just interesting to hear from them, like when one of my cats passed away last year, he said he had to go teach cats about spirituality.
Wow.
Okay, you have a big job to do. But he has a job to do right now. And so, some cats, just that's their spiritual journey. They have their own spiritual path to follow. And so they become teachers to other pets and other spirits. And it's just interesting. It's a whole nother world. Again, like you said it so well, we have to be open-minded to those perspectives, so that we don't miss those blessings, because man, I never knew about any of this before he died. And now I'm wishing I had learned it a long time ago, because I could so much more appreciate the previous pets that came before on a totally different level.
Likewise, because when I started connecting with other pet experts and animal communicators included, and that's the time when I just changed my perspective about the topic as well. So
Yeah, it's
really
amazing.
yes, it is. Do you have any final thoughts, or is there anything else that you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I would just say, when it comes to grief and loss, you have to be willing to let go. because some people get so sucked into the grief that it becomes comfortable. And I know pet parents that are still like horribly grieving pets that passed 2 years ago, like can't even speak their names without falling apart. And that is an unhealthy level of grief, in my opinion, because it can hold you back. And it might be preventing them from opening their hearts to life, to moving on, because our pets don't want us to be locked in this position of sadness and grief and putting our lives on hold. That's never their intention for us. They want us to be thriving. They want us to be happy. They want us to open our hearts, because you never know that there might be another pet that needs you. And it might be one that's coming back to you from a previous life that you also have a connection with. So we miss out on those little joys that we don't know that we don't know, if we stay locked in that grief. So I would just say, open your heart, embrace the relationship that you've had, try some of these things to help you love them from afar. Try the animal communication sessions, develop your spiritual path, your intuition, things like that, so you can continue to have a relationship with them and just be open-minded for what may come next, because you don't want to miss the joy of the journey.
Right, exactly. I love that. And since they're really creatures of love, so logically they would really want us to be okay, because they are okay over there and over
They are
here, actually. Yeah.
we're a mess over here. They're fine. They're like, woohoo, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm no longer struggling, I'm no longer suffering. And what's wrong with you? I'm fine. I mean, just they probably get a little frustrated with us sometimes because we get so stuck in their loss, and that's really not where they want us to be.
Right, exactly. And one of the messages that I think I'm getting is because like for me, I wanna repent and I wanna make amends and honor my fur babies who has crossed over. And one of the things that I'm getting is that for me to just find my light and shine it and show up. And if I want penance, that's what I should be doing. And yeah, and before I
Great
can do that, I should be okay as well. So yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's beautiful.
And yeah, so Pam, since you have very interesting services that could help a lot of people, where can they find you, or do you have any links to your social media platforms or website?
Absolutely. And we are at purrrfectlyholistic.com. That's Purrrr, effectlyholistic.com. We have an online store that's geared for cats called shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. We do live events at least once a week, pretty much on a regular basis, either on our platform or sharing with somebody else. So lots of collaboration going on. So yeah, reach out, give us a follow, let us know how we can help, and check out some of our services. They're pretty incredible.
Wonderful. And yeah, I'll also lift the links from your site and your social media platforms and share that with the audience as well, to the emails in our description box. And Pam, I'd like to thank you again for being part of this. And you guys, the audience, I hope this has provided value and meaning for you and has helped you learn more about how to navigate through your pet loss grief, especially during the season, because Christmas is almost already here and the New Year's fast approaching. And yeah,
Yeah.
I wish you so much love and yeah, and take care of yourselves. And yeah.
Thank you. Same to you. Same to you.
All right.
It's great to see you
Again. Yes.
Have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.